Fitterer.
And I'm Laverne Didi.
And welcome to this episode of Cooking Crave. Today we are going to do some salads for some easy potlucks that you might be invited to this summer or just holiday get-togethers with your family. And here's Laverne to show us how to make a couple easy salads.
Okay, we're going to start with a rhubarb salad, and this is a great season for rhubarb. So this salad here works really well when you're going on a picnic. It keeps well, it doesn't separate, you know, we have Jell-O in it, but the consistency stays really great. So what we do, we're going to start right over here, and I already did start this here. We make a rhubarb sauce, and we start with 3 cups rhubarb, 1 cup sugar, and like just about an 1/8 cup water. And you can use fresh rhubarb or you can use frozen rhubarb. What I would suggest, if you do use frozen rhubarb, you're going to have moisture in there already, so you may not need to add water. And the only reason we're adding a little bit of water when you're using fresh rhubarb is so that it doesn't scorch. Okay. So we got that, and you're going to cook that about 15-20 minutes until the rhubarb is nice and soft, and it's pretty much, you know, you can't even tell that it's rhubarb.
How finely chopped the rhubarb? Is it really small pieces before you place it in the saucepan before you heat it?
Well, I did cut it pretty small, but you know, it's going to cook up regardless. If it's bigger chunks, it's going to take a little longer, but I would suggest, you know, doing just your normal, you know, maybe about an 1/8 inch, you know, cubes when you're cutting the rhubarb. So,
okay.
So being this here, now it's all ready to go. It's nice and hot. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring it over here, because actually what we're going to do now, so the sauce was, like I said, 3 cups rhubarb, 1 cup sugar, 1/8 cup water. And now we're going to use raspberry Jell-O. And you're going to just dilute the raspberry Jell-O in the hot rhubarb sauce.
Okay.
So.
And has this been a recipe that you've made for quite a while?
I've had this one for a long time, yes.
Okay.
In fact, a longtime friend, in fact, she lives in Bismarck now, gave that to me many years ago, and it's one that we take camping quite a bit. In fact, I just made this one for Memorial Weekend going out camping, and it just went over really, really well.
So if it sets outside for a while, when you do go camping, for instance, is it something that's going to get watery because it has a Jell-O base in it?
Not at all.
Okay.
It really holds its consistency really well. So you just want to make sure you get your Jell-O dissolved, you know, thoroughly in here before we add a little bit of water. Okay.
No, it smells very nice.
Oh, raspberry goes great. Raspberry or strawberry. You know, I've had it where I've not had maybe raspberry Jell-O on hand, and I've used strawberry Jell-O. So you can improvise wherever you need to if you don't want to run to the store if you don't have the raspberry.
Right.
So this does call for a small can of pineapple, and I already drained the pineapple. I use crushed pineapple, but it asks for a cup of cold water and the pineapple juice, because we're not going to add the pineapple to the sauce until it sets up a little bit, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients.
Okay.
So I've got my water here, and then actually I put a little bit of ice in, you know, for my cup of water, just measuring, so that will just help set the sauce a little bit faster. So I just mix that up here, and that ice will melt really quickly with that hot rhubarb sauce there.
Ice is always a good thing when you want to quick make Jell-O to set it faster. It works really well. Correct.
Yes, it really does. So I just want to stir the ice until it's completely melted. And it's almost melted already. And you don't have to use ice or whatever, but I wanted to set up a little bit faster here, so we'll go. And we will be there's going to be pineapple, crushed pineapple in here, and 2 mashed bananas. and but that we won't add until it sets up a little bit more.
Okay.
So I'm going to add some of my pineapple juice here. There, and get that set. And I'm going to just set the whole kettle right into the fridge. And I find that it probably takes maybe a half hour to an hour to set up.
Okay, so not very long at all. So it's something that you can make quickly.
Yes, so we're going to just take that to the fridge, and I'm going to put that in here for now. Okay, so while that is setting up, we're going to make a calico bean dish that I have taken to picnics for many years, and it's always gone over really well, especially, you know, with your barbecue and hamburgers and hot dogs, and this one. And this one actually comes from my sister Jo Hayden from Williston. Okay. And I've had that for many years too, and it's been always a favorite when we get our family get-togethers. The recipe calls for 1 can of kidney beans. So we're going to use, I like to use a crock pot. Now you can definitely, you put this in a roaster and put it in the oven and bake it also if you don't have a crock pot. But the reason I like to use a crock pot is I'm taking it with, you know, right, to the picnic, or, you know, to wherever the potluck may be. And so it's easy to transport and that. So it's 1 can of kidney beans.
Well, and when you're taking it to a place that has an electrical outlet, so you just plug it in and it keeps it warm as well.
1 can of butter beans. The butter beans are a little bit juicier, and I did drain off a little bit of the juice. Not necessarily necessary, but you know, the beans will be a little bit thicker if you don't have quite as much liquid in it. So,
okay, so kind of your preference, what you want to have.
That's right. And it asks for 1 large can of pork and beans, so I'm just going to put in 2 small cans.
Okay.
And I'll just turn this up here and get that going.
So if you do this in the oven, is it something that will bake faster or be ready sooner if you're on a short amount of time, or do you find the crock pot you can cook it in the same amount of time?
Well, I think in the oven you actually can, it might go just a little bit faster, and in the oven your liquids will cook up faster too.
Okay.
You know, because in the crock pot, you know, your juice, it kind of, you know, makes a little bit more liquid, or it doesn't cook up as fast.
Okay.
But I usually put it like it's in the crock pot, and it will take, I usually put it in about 3 to 5 hours, you know, and that it doesn't really hurt if it's a little bit longer, to make sure that it's going to be done. So,
okay.
So we got our beans in there, and then it asks for a pound of hamburger, and I already did season my hamburger. I browned it, and when I cook my hamburger, I always add just a little bit of pepper and salt to my hamburger. So we've got that in there. And you can use ham or bacon. And I just happen to have some ham. I cubed some ham up here, and I'm going to put that in. I've got probably about 2 cups of ham. And again, you can put in as little or as much as you like, or if you want to use if you're using bacon, if you will use a pound of bacon or a half a pound, it's going to be basically for flavoring.
Okay.
You
now I can see where when you're using ham, it's more of a meal. It's not just a side dish, because ham is, you know, a heartier dish that is going to fill you up, and probably a little bit more than bacon would.
Well, it gives the casserole a little bit more consistency, yes.
Okay.
And I do need an onion, which I do have in the fridge, so I have that chopped. I just need to get that. Here, and it says for 1 onion, and I usually use a large onion, because I like the flavor of onions. There's nothing better than to give your casserole here a good flavoring. So I just chop them up pretty fine.
So there's not a lot of prep work that goes into this, other than probably browning the hamburger, which you had already pre-done. But right, the rest is just kind of chop and go.
Yes, it's going to be easy. And it asks for a half a cup of brown sugar, so I've got that here. And it asks for 2 teaspoons of vinegar, and any vinegar. I've used white vinegar. I just happen to have apple cider vinegar, so I'm going to add that.
You don't really have a preference when it comes to that, it's just whatever you have on hand?
What I have on hand, I do like the apple cider vinegar a little bit better. It has a little bit better flavor. And then it asks for a 1/2 cup ketchup. So I'm going to just measure up my ketchup here. There, and we're going to put that in, and we'll just mix that up and let that start to simmer, and before long we'll have that aroma there. And the recipe, and it's optional if you molasses. I like molasses, so I'm going to add just a little bit in there. I usually never measure. I'll just add a little bit there, just to give that little bit of flavor. Probably 1/4 to 1/2 cup, and again, that's going to be a matter of what you like.
Right.
But I think molasses just gives it a good flavor.
It probably tones down the sweetness of the ketchup a little bit, depending on how you like the casserole.
Well, I think so, yes. See, and when you're mixing this all up, you can already see that it makes a nice hearty bean dish for those hamburgers or hot dogs. So just stir that well, and the next thing is you just put your lid on, and a few hours down the road, when you're ready to go to your potluck or have your company over, you're going to be all ready to go. So
sounds great.
You can actually see that mixture in there and how hearty that is.
Well, this is something that I feel that you probably would be able to make like the night before, store it in the fridge, put it in the crock pot so it can cook up, so you don't really even have to do anything like the day of an event.
Absolutely. And depending upon how big your function is, or if you're having company in, it's a recipe that's easy to double. And if you don't want to completely double, if you just even add another can of pork and beans or kidney beans, whichever is your preference, just to add a little bit more without maybe making a whole double the recipe. So I'm going to put the lid on there, and we've already got that on high, so that's going to just go ahead and simmer. Okay, we took this out of the fridge, and it looks like it's chilled really well, and it's set good, and just enough like that it makes nice thicker consistency. So just stir that up a little bit. Now we're going to put in our small can of pineapple, and we also want 2 mashed bananas on that, so we're going to just there.
And it's not something you want to you definitely want mashed bananas, not chunked bananas.
The recipe calls for mashed, and it makes it a better salad, and I think then your bananas will not turn brown either, if you have a mash and it's mixed in there nicer there. So I am just going to use my handy potato masher to mash my bananas. Just put them on a plate.
That works really nice.
Yeah, it works real good. I wouldn't use bananas that are overly ripe, just because they would be already starting to turn a little bit of color. See, that's just all you need to do here. Got that. And you can mash it with a fork or anything else that might be convenient for you. So we're going to just spoon that in there.
Whatever you have in your kitchen, that's what you use.
That's right. And then just stir that up in here. You want to stir well. And if you're going to be taking this to a outdoor picnic or someplace on the go, putting it in a nice plastic container with a lid on probably would be nice if you're worrying about a glass that might break for you, and then it's easy to store.
Sure.
So Now this is kind of the way the consistency looks right now, but after it's in the fridge, and it will set up a little bit more and it will be quite firm. And like I said, it doesn't separate or anything if it's outside, you know, for a little while. So I'm going to just pour that in there. And then just to top it off, we add just Cool Whip on top. So when it's set, and I usually don't put my Cool Whip on it before I'm ready to take it, or, you know, but it's not going to hurt. I mean, like I said, we took it to camping this weekend, and I put my Cool Whip on there before we left, and it just stays very nice.
Okay.
So because of where the consistency is right now, I mean, we actually could put our Cool Whip on, but I think what we will do is wait, and you're going to just put enough Cool Whip on there just to cover it nicely. If you like a lot of Cool Whip, you can put more on there, but a half a container for this size would be just about right.
Sounds wonderful.
So, oh, don't those beans smell good? I don't know if you have that on there. There we add a little bit more in there. And there we go.
And again, this is a nice hearty recipe here, you know, especially with the ham. And again, if you prefer bacon, that's something you can use as well. Both recipes, either way you make it with bacon or ham, are wonderful.
That's correct.
Again, this is the calico bean recipe and the raspberry rhubarb salad. These are great salads for potlucks, family reunions, or just your own family when you want a hearty side dish. They're wonderful.
Yes.
Again, for these recipes, go to Consolidated's webpage, www.ctctel.com, and please submit your favorite recipes for us to cook for you on the Cooking Crave show. Again, thank you, Laverne.
You're welcome.
And have a great day.
Bye now.